Hello and welcome to my channel. I am the official Carla Lorraine, and today I am doing a recap review of Celebrity Big Brother Season 3. I am on part 3 of the recap, which will cover episodes 6 through 8. And if you missed episodes 1 through 5, you can catch them on YouTube. They're already up, obviously, right? So let's jump right on in where we left off last. Well, the episode 6 is opening up, and it opens up on Chris Kattan. After the eviction, he was sad to see Mariah leave, and he was a bit confused. He had wanted to leave initially, and he's confused as to why they got rid of Mariah instead of himself because he wanted to go home. He's not really feeling the game. He doesn't really want to be there. And he asked them to vote him out, and they did not. And so Shayna won the veto, and she said that after all her years of watching the show, she's always wanted to win a veto, and she was happy that she won it, even if it was just for 5 minutes. Carson asked Chris Kirkpatrick if he had been throwing in the last competition, or if his eyesight was just bad, because it was a competition that required you to look at pictures and differentiate which section of the screen, A, B, or C, something was in. And Chris Kirkpatrick said that he just had bad eyesight and that he wasn't throwing it. I was also wondering that when Chris Kirkpatrick was playing in the video competition, I was wondering if he needed glasses or if he just had bad eyesight. I mean, or if he was throwing it. And yeah, he wasn't throwing it. He confirmed that he was not. It wouldn't have made sense for him too. So yeah, that would have been weird. Anyway, Chris Kirkpatrick and Shayna discuss missing the opportunity to get Todrick out. And Kirkpatrick tells the DR that they wanted to get Todrick out, but weren't sure if they could explain the game enough for Chris Kattan to help with the votes. So they were like, well, it's just easier to get rid of Mariah and put Kattan on the block with her so that he couldn't mess up the votes. Because Chris Kattan doesn't understand the game, and they didn't want to have to risk him messing it up on accident because he doesn't understand. So then Carson, Cynthia, and Shayna are in the pink bedroom, and Cynthia and Carson are discussing how Misha is like a cult dictator. That's what they said. So then it's time for the next HOH, and Kato Kaelin guest stars as a video host for the introduction, and the competition is called Ski Strip, and they have to keep the buttons pressed on like a sea-doo or something, while a jet ski, while they undress out of a ski suit before hopping into the hot tub and pressing the button the quickest time possible. So Misha won the time of 5 minutes and 50 seconds, and HOH, she's the HOH now for the second time in the season. And so Shayna's telling the DR that smiling in Misha's face is hard for her, and that Misha has her little minions, quote unquote, in place. And Cynthia thinks that she may be safe because Chris Kattan has expressed that he wants to go home. So Cynthia thinks that she's safe because she thinks that they'll do what Chris Kattan is asking and let him go home next. So Kirkpatrick and Shayna discuss their options, and Kirkpatrick says he's okay with Misha winning the HOH since he knows where he stands with her, but he doesn't know where he stands with Todrick. But he would have rather Shayna, Carson, or Cynthia had won. Shayna feels as though she should be safe from Misha because she thinks Misha owes her one, and that she's just hoping to make it past this week so she can compete in the next HOH whereas Misha cannot because Misha's HOH this week, which means she can't compete in the next HOH competition. So there is a scene where Misha is working out and Todrick is keeping her company, and Misha's telling Todrick about her poor upbringing and the trials and things that she's gone through as a young adult, as a child and a young adult, and on her way up to becoming while she was on her path to becoming a MMA fighter. So, okay, then the next scene is Carson taking a bubble bath in the HOH bathroom, and then that's over. Then the next scene is Misha's in the kitchen. Chris Kattan goes into the kitchen and asks Misha when are the next nominations, and Misha tells him that they're later that day. And he asks if she knew who was going to go up, and she tells him that he's not going to go up. And Cynthia overheard the conversation, and she goes and tells Carson, and there's her hopes shattered because she was hoping that Chris Kattan was going to be going up and that she would be safe. So when she overheard Misha telling Chris Kattan that he's not going to go up, she tells Carson. So she thinks that Carson think she tells Carson that she tells Carson, and Carson thinks that either she or him are going to end up going on the block. That either Carson or Cynthia are going to go up on the block. Um, so, um, so the next scene is Shayna walking up the stairs, and Todd is in the living room. This is a funny scene. Shayna is tired. She's walking up the stairs, and she falls. She's falling up the stairs while she's walking. And she's just tired. And Todd asks if she's all right before he giggles into himself, and she says, "Yeah." She says, "I'm just tired." Whatever. That was funny. It was comedic relief. If they got that, they put it on the show. Okay, so then Todrick goes to Misha, excuse me, and tells her that Chris Kirkpatrick is a new target. Misha is listening to him, probably not too happy that he didn't let her rule his HOH. Because when Chris Kirkpatrick was the HO, oh wait, Todrick goes to Misha and tells her that Chris Kirkpatrick is the new target. Misha's listening to him, probably not too happy that Chris Kirkpatrick didn't let her rule his HOH. Yeah, he wanted him to rule his own HOH, and she was trying to tell him what to do. So anyway, so the nomination ceremony takes place, and Misha is, of course, the hostess because she's the HOH. So nomination 1 is Carson. Nomination 2 is Cynthia. And Chris Kattan is visibly confused because, as we know, he wants to go home. Misha says that she thinks Carson is a wonderful person, and she hopes they can continue their friendship outside the house. She tells Cynthia she's beautiful and strong, and that their game just hasn't aligned within the house, that they're two games, but that she hopes that they will align on the outside. Shayna tells the DR that Shayna tells the DR that if she fails to get rid of Carson this week, she'll try to get Cynthia out. So that's the end of that episode. So we move on to episode 7. It was quite quick and to the point, right? Not a whole lot of fluff in that. So episode 7. So this is a 2-hour live eviction show. So the recap explains that Kirk and Shayna are both playing side to the house, but see Misha and Todrick as the big threat to their long game. So the episode starts with them getting up from the nomination table, and Carson tells them they better learn how to bake and cook, and that it was an honor. He says it's just an honor just to be nominated. But he's the cook in the house, so he's like, "Y'all better learn how to bake and cook because in case he goes home." Chris Kirkpatrick tells the DR that he and Shayna have been playing the middle, which is a dangerous game, and that if Misha takes out Carson, she'll go after himself, Chris Kirkpatrick, and Shayna next. So Carson and Cynthia are in the storage room / pantry, and Carson is telling Cynthia that Misha could have been nice to Chris Kattan and put him up with one of them and let him go home. He doesn't want to be there, and he wasn't even feeling well in the last competition, which So he's like, well, why doesn't she just be nice to him and let him go home, put him on the block? She doesn't want to be here. Why put both of us up, basically, you know? And so Cynthia and Carson have that conversation. And so Todrick and Cynthia are talking in the bedroom, and Todrick tells Cynthia that if it were up to him, then she wouldn't be on the block. And he wants Cynthia to know that just because they aren't in the same alliance anymore doesn't mean that he can't fight for her on the other side of the house. And he starts to tell her something seemingly that he won't put her up next week, and he'd want her to work with him. Because she stops him from saying anything. She said, I don't want to hear anything else. Um, so Cynthia's like, no, don't tell me anymore. Okay. Which I think is weird, but not for her, not for Cynthia, because Cynthia probably hasn't watched really too much of the game either. And she's playing with integrity, and she doesn't want to have secrets and stuff like that too much, you know? So anyway, um, Todrick tells Misha that he thinks everyone's trying to figure out how to get them out of the house, how to get Todrick and Misha out of the house. And Misha asks Todrick, well, who is everyone? And he says, well, Kirkpatrick and Shayna. And Misha says, yeah, but once Carson's gone, let's get Kirkpatrick out. And Todrick thinks that if Carson comes down, then Kirkpatrick should be the target. If Carson comes down, then Kirkpatrick should be the target. Carson tells Shayna and Cynthia that if he wins the veto, he will take Cynthia down so that Shayna and Cynthia can have more time in the house. And Shayna says they need to think about that, flesh that out some more, like figure out something else that's not going to fly for her. And Cynthia doesn't want Carson to sacrifice himself for them either. And so Shayna tells Kirkpatrick that she's afraid of being backdoored this week if one of the nominees take themselves down, either Carson or Cynthia, that she's afraid she's going to be backdoored. And Kirkpatrick feels that when he was HOH, Misha and Todrick were all around him, hanging around and stuff. And now that Misha's HOH again, they're ignoring them. And it is just the Misha Todrick show now. And so Kirkpatrick tells Shayna that a possible plan is for Shayna to win a veto and take Carson down. And it's a possibility for them to put himself, Kirkpatrick, up. But then either he or Cynthia will go home, but it'll still keep their numbers for voting purposes. And he said that we have to save Carson because he actually won something and can compete on different levels. So Carson would be the one to save. But either way, whether it's me or Cynthia who goes, y'all will still be safe. Y'all will have a number, you'll be safe. So then he says that if he can't win, no, he says that if he wins, he can't put Carson up because then they'll put Shayna up. So Shayna says, let's just see who can play in the veto. Okay, so then Julie tells the TV audience that one of the house guests left the game. So Chris Kirkpatrick, so Julie tells the TV audience. So we find this out, okay? So Chris Kirkpatrick asked Catan. So then they start showing clips, right? Okay, so Chris Kirkpatrick they show up Chris Kirkpatrick asking Chris Catan how he's feeling, and Chris Catan tells him that he wants to go back home. And then he goes into the diary room. And then time passes. And she comes out of the diary room with the card. And she tells the house guests to gather in the living room for an announcement. And Bridget notices that Catan's not there. And he says, like, well, where's Chris Catan? So everybody looks around or whatever. And then she opens, Misha opens up the card and begins to read it. It's an announcement that Chris Catan has left the game, that he's okay, and that he'll be sending a video message later to address his departure. Just let me get a drink. So next it's time for the Rito competition. So Cynthia, Carson, and Misha are going to play, of course, because Cynthia and Carson are on the block. They automatically play. Misha's HOH, she automatically plays. So then they go to pull a chip out of the box to determine whom else will play with them. Misha pulls out the chip labeled Shayna. She picks Shayna. Cynthia picks out, let's see, Cynthia picks Lamar. I guess she got house guest choice. She picks Lamar because he isn't stuck up Misha's ass, she says, and that he's an athlete. So then Carson picks Todrick. So Todrick tells the DR that if he wins, he'll keep the nominations the same. So Lamar asks Todrick, so this is later, okay, so that's that. So we know who's going to play. So then later, Lamar asks Todrick, well, whoever wins the veto can send someone home, right? And Todrick says no. And Lamar asks him to explain how the veto works. And Todrick tells Lamar, if you win the veto, you have to choose to either take someone down, and then Misha will have to put somebody else up in their place. And so you can take either Carson down or Cynthia down. You could save either one of them, but you can't put someone else up. And you can't evict anybody with this. And so Lamar asks, well, can't you save them both? And Todrick tells him, no, he can only save one person. And Lamar says, oh, okay. And he says, well, I would like to win the veto. And so okay. Todrick asks Lamar if he would save one of them. And Lamar tells him, yeah, Cynthia. And Todrick tells him that he shouldn't save her if his goal is to send out Carson. And Lamar tells him he doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. He said, I don't understand that logic. Todrick tells the DR that he's sure Lamar is smart in a lot of ways, but that he doesn't have a degree in Big Brother, and that Lamar shouldn't go around talking about who he's saving and saving people if he doesn't understand how the game even works. So Todrick explains to Lamar. Okay, so that was a flash forward to the diary room. So then we flash back to Todrick and Lamar having their conversation again. Todrick explains to Lamar that if Cynthia is off the block, then she'll have a vote to keep Carson in. And they need all the votes to get Carson out. And Lamar said she can't vote. And he tells him, well, no, she can't. Not right now. She stays on the block. And Lamar says that she would. He's like, well, she wouldn't vote for Carson to stay. And Todrick tells Lamar, well, yeah, she would because they're best friends in the house. And she's not going to vote him out. So anyway, not certain if Lamar really understands or if he's just playing dumb for this, for Todrick's benefit, whatever. So the next scene is the Rito competition outside. It's called the Reindeer Academy. This challenge, they have to rock their reindeer, kind of like, okay, I'm going to say, they have to rock their reindeer 20 times and then stack snowflake pieces. And the person who stacks the most snowflakes without timing out wins. So they rock their snowflake. It's like those little righty things you get on at the park when you're little or outside of a grocery store or something. You get on, you put your feet on the little bars and you hold on to the little handles. You just rock. You got to rock. They have to rock 20 times, get off, run down, and their time starts, and they have to get back and rock again before the time runs out. If the time runs out before they start rocking again, then they're out. Okay? The time runs out. So I hope I explained that well. This is a competition they do it in variations like pretty much every season, something of this nature. So anyway, Shayna wins the competition. She ends up stacking 22 snowflakes, and she secured her second veto this season. So now she's an HOH winner. She's an HOH and a veto holder. Okay. So Misha's thinking of, no. My bad. Misha's the HOH. Shayna wins the competition. So Misha's the HOH. Shayna wins the veto. So Misha is thinking of who a replacement nominee could be. And she goes to whom she referred to as her alliance. And she goes to Kirkpatrick and Todd, who are in the kitchen. And Lamar walks in. And she asked them who wouldn't mind going on the block as a pawn next to Carson, and Todd volunteers. She, so Misha's thinking, because she's like, okay, she's going to take someone down. Who will I put up? So she asked Patrick and Todd, would y'all mind being a pawn? And Lamar walks in while she's asking. So Todd volunteers, Todd Bridges. So she reassures them that the person going up is just a pawn and won't go home. Excuse me. Lamar asks, well, how do they know? And Todd says, well, we know. We hold the numbers right now. And then Carson walks through. So Kirkpatrick leaves. He goes immediately up to Shayna and tells her what was said. And so the plan is for them to take Carson down. Misha's going to put Todd up. And Kirkpatrick, Carson, and Shayna will vote Todd out. So they're going to backdoor Todd, but Misha doesn't know. Right? So they're gonna, and then they're saying, well, we have to win the next HOH. Okay? So that's their plan. Misha doesn't know that this is what the other side is thinking, okay? Because she done told Chris Kirkpatrick because she thinks it's in her alliance. So she's telling him these things, and Chris takes it back to Shayna. Okay. So anyway, Misha's starting to see that Chris Kirkpatrick is not really feeling her anymore and her plans and stuff, and that she thinks he's after her and Todrick. So she asks Chris Kirkpatrick if she can speak with him, and she asked him if he's going to vote Carson out. And he asked, well, who she's going to put up. No, he asked if she's going to put him up. And she says no. And he says, well, if you're not going to vote Carson, and then she says, no, I'm not going to put you up. Not if you tell me you're going to vote Carson out. So she relays that they're losing votes by putting Todd up and Cynthia coming down, and that she needs to secure his vote. Kirkpatrick refuses to answer the question outright. He's trying to play with integrity. And I appreciate that as a person, but I'm like, aren't you a super fan? You can check integrity at the door. You should know that. And I'm like, where does integrity fit into this game? You're sitting here pausing, him and hawing. Just tell her what she wants to hear. You can lie. Because all my years of watching it, I don't think it, it's not really, I mean, it's a dog-eat-dog game in there. And I'm like, you're a super fan. You understand the concept of the game. What are you doing? Okay. So then Misha's trying to convince Shayna now to keep the nominations the same, because now she's worried that Chris Kirkpatrick is not going to do what she wants him to do with the voting and stuff. So she's like, Shayna, just don't take anyone down. Keep the noms the same. So Misha is now focused on Shayna pulling Cynthia down. And then then she's wondering if Shayna's going to pull Carson. Now she's trying to like, please don't do anything. Like, just leave it the same. Then she asked Shayna not to use the power at all. And Shayna tells her that she'll take what she said into consideration, but she's making her own decision. Okay, so now it's the veto meeting, and Shayna is hosting because she's the veto holder. And she decides to use the power of veto on Carson. Misha puts Chris Kirkpatrick up on the block in Carson's place after asking around for volunteers. So no one volunteered. So now Chris Kirkpatrick and Cynthia are sitting on the block next to each other. Shayna apologizes to Misha and Todrick. Todrick tells Shayna that he wants to work with her still. And she says, okay. But then she goes and tells the DR that she has no intentions of working with Todrick and Misha. Period. Okay. So Misha asked Shayna if she wins HOH, that she not put her up. She's like, Shayna, will you keep me safe if you win HOH? Shayna tells Todrick and Misha that she wanted to work with them, but that she feels alone, and that Misha has the numbers with Todrick, Chris Kirkpatrick, Todd Bridges, and Lamar, and that she felt that if Cynthia or Carson had won the power of veto and put themselves down, then Misha would have put her up as a replacement. And she tells them that she doesn't feel as though she didn't feel she was included in what she thought was their alliance. And she said that she felt alone. And then Todrick interjects and says, well, come talk to us then. Don't feel alone. Just talk to us. And he continues and says that he's been writing for her and didn't want to feel stupid at the end of this. And Misha tells Shayna that she gets that she wanted to propel herself in the game. But now the line has been drawn. Misha's mad that Shayna used the power of Rito. She's like, now the line has been drawn in the sand. And that if she or Carson want to go head up in the competition and just bring it, okay? She's like, I could be either one of you, and now I'm not team you anymore. But she never was anyway, right? So Chris Patrick thinks that the house is now flipped, and that the house um, knows that that she turned on them, that Misha would turn on anyone else as well. Um, that they just won. So Chris Patrick tells the DR that if they didn't do that to Misha and Todrick, if they didn't do that, if they didn't, use that veto, then Misha and Todrick would pick everyone off one by one. And then now the house will see. Like he said, okay, now the house sees. The house sees. We done showed their true colors. The house sees. So Julie goes to the live portion of the show, and the house guests are in the living room, and she congratulates them all for making it halfway. It's now day 17, and that's a short season for the celebrity Big Brother game. So it's halfway at day 17, and Julie's going to share with them. Well, they made it at least halfway, but So anyway, Julie's going to share with them some headlines in the form of a cute game. It's not really a game, okay? It's just something that she's doing. It's done pretty much every season. It's not a real competition. It's just something that she does. Julie reads 3 statements. It's not done every season. It's just done off. It's done periodically. Julie reads 3 statements. 2 of them are true and 1 is false. And she said, pick the false one. And then she does 3 statements where 2 is false and 1's correct. And so okay, pick the correct one. Okay, so things that's going on outside the house, that happen outside the house, about like the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Just stuff that they would probably be interested in. Okay, so Todd, I'm not going to go into it. I didn't write it down. I'm not going into it. Todd and Lamar are talking, and Todd tells Lamar that if Cynthia stays, they have the house, and that he isn't voting to keep Cynthia because he's upset that Cynthia voted against him to keep Teddy. So Todd Bridges is mad at Cynthia because Cynthia voted to keep Teddy and not him. Lamar's kind of shocked because he knew Todd was upset about that, but he didn't know that he was still upset. But we didn't know that he was upset about it unless you watched the live feeds, which of course I didn't because I didn't find out about it until recently. I watched the season recently, so I did not watch the live feeds, so I didn't know. Anyway, casual viewers didn't know that he was upset about it to begin with. He's like, you still mad about that? He was like, yeah, man. And so the next scene is Todd and Cynthia at the kitchen table, and Cynthia tells Todd that she's confused, and she asks, because he's being a little distant, she said, are you upset with me? And he says, well, it's hard for me not to, he says it's hard for him not to forget her not voting for him to stay. And he's trying to work it all out in his head. And she tells him, she says, well, I told you my reasonings, and that if it had been you I'd given my word to, I would have wanted to keep you. She said, if you can't get over that, then don't vote for me to stay. Just vote me out. And Lamar walks in and he says, he's a punk in regards to Todd. And they have banter, like Todd and Lamar are like friends. So, but he was also instigating, but he was saying it in jest, but he was also instigating. And then Todd was like, oh, well, with all due respect in the street, if you cut my neck, I cut yours. So basically he's saying that Cynthia cut his neck by not voting for him to stay in the house. Anyway, Cynthia counters and says, well, with all due respect in the street, honor your word. And I was sitting there like, touche, because she did give Teddy her word, right? She didn't give Todd her word. So then she added, if it takes her out, peace. And then she continues and says that it wasn't personal and that she wasn't in an alliance with him. And they never talked game together, and that she already had teamed up with her people, the same as he had teamed up with his, and that she was her people, and that's why she voted for her to stay. Now, sidebar. I think that Todd's main issue was that regardless of any alliances that were in it, that they were in, that he was up against a white person, a black person up against a white person since he is black. And I think that he felt like I think that he felt as though she should have voted for him to stay regardless of allegiances because because black, And I don't even know if he knew that they were in an alliance to begin with, but either way, I think that his main sense of contention is that, hey, I'm black. You voted for her to stay and not me, this white girl. But I don't think he knew that they were in an alliance. I don't know. But either way, back to the kitchen with Cynthia and Todd. Sidebar complete, okay? Cynthia is telling Todd that if he is still in his feelings, then don't feel obligated to be in her face, period. And Todd tries to interject and say that the tough part is because they're friends. And Cynthia is still talking. I don't even know if she heard him say that. And she says, "If we ain't good, then let's not be good." And then she said she rocks with him and she's been supportive of him, but that he needs to do what he needs to do and just vote her off. And that she doesn't want his vote. She said, "I don't want your vote. Just vote me off." So then she walks out of the room. She is mad. Okay, and then Todrick sees her and tells her that when she has time to talk, he'll have to talk to her. And she tells him she has nothing to say. And when she leaves, she's leaving with her head high, her dignity, with her word and her integrity, is what she said. And Carson's following her, and so he sees this interaction. And he just looks at Ty and was like, she's fine. But she's obviously upset. So Carson's following behind her. So they go into the room, or go into a room together, the two of them. And Cynthia tells Carson that it was crazy for Todd to try and make her feel bad about her keeping her word. And then she says, and as a matter of fact, and then she walked out of the room, and Carson's like, oh boy, and then he follows her out. Cynthia goes in there and she tells Todd, she's back into the kitchen, and she let me see. So Cynthia goes back into the kitchen, and Cynthia tells Todd, wait, where am I? And she says, and another thing, she is really upset. And she's going in on him, and I love to see her pissed off reading someone, Cynthia Bailey. She doesn't do it too often, but when she does it, I'd like to see it because she does it. She's so nice, and I like to see her. I like to see her take her gloves off when she gets pissed because she lets people walk over her sometimes. I like to see her stand up for herself. Anyway, uh, so Carson tries to talk to Todd, and Todd is venting about the argument. So okay, so then that was that, and now they're about to do the live voting. Okay, so that was that. They showed that they had that argument, whatever. Now they're going to do live voting in the eviction. After the nominees do their little statements to the other house guests about please don't evict me, yada yada, whatever they say. So Chris tells them in his speech to do whatever is best for their game, and that he's not going to campaign against Cynthia. And Cynthia talks about honoring her word, and that if they don't care about that, then go ahead and vote her out. And she was more graceful than that, but that's basically what she said. And I think that was like a knife being twisted into Todd. It's a little bit more like, integrity, my word, whatever. If you don't like it, vote me out, basically. But she said it in a more graceful way than that. And so Todrick votes first, in the yard. He votes to evict Chris Kirkpatrick. Todd votes to evict Chris Kirkpatrick. Shayna votes to evict Chris Kirkpatrick, which makes it official that Chris Kirkpatrick's leaving, but the other votes have to still be done. And Lamar votes to evict Chris Kirkpatrick, and Carson um, votes to evict Chris Kirkpatrick. And so Julie tells the house guests that Chris Kirkpatrick is evicted by a vote of 5-0. And they're in the house telling Cynthia that she's loved, but really they kept her mostly because Chris was more of a threat to Misha and Todrick. So Chris tells Julie that he was the exit interview. Okay, Chris and Julie. Chris tells Julie he was surprised that Shayna didn't even vote for him to stay, a courtesy vote. Julie asked if Chris takes risk in real life because he convinced Shayna to use the veto when he knew he could be nominated. And he said it wasn't fun for him when he was playing with Misha and Todrick on that side of the house. And it was fun to shake it up and take the risk. And he tells Julie that he gave away his plan when he wouldn't tell Misha what she wanted to hear because he didn't want to lie. Yes, he did. He did give away his plan. That's why he's left. Because he didn't lie to her and tell her what she wanted to hear. He could have, and he would, but anyway. So after Chris and Julie talk, they're starting an endurance challenge for the HOH. And they're standing on the ledge, holding on to handles that are forward-directed chair handles. They have to stand there while their platform tilts and things pour down on them when they're propelled towards them. And, it's the wall challenge. The endurance walkout. It's in every season. The episode ends while the challenge is still going on. And that is the end of episode 7. So we're on season 3, episode 8. So Carson wins the HOH competition, the wall standing, after Todrick makes a deal with him to not be put up on the block or backdoored. So Cynthia, Carson, and Shayna talk in the pink room to celebrate and strategize. Todrick and Misha talk in the kitchen about Todrick's deal with Carson. And Todrick is upset that he hasn't won anything yet himself. Misha says that she wouldn't change choosing him as her partner regardless if he won things or not. That she's, she still looks at him as her ace. And they hug. And Lamar and Todd are talking about the veto. And Lamar is confused again or still on how the game works. Okay. So Misha is in the bed and she's sad. Carson's going on up to his HOH room and he asked for a shoe closet. He said, I wonder if I'm going to have a shoe class for a shoe closet. I'm thinking he was joking about actually wanting it to be there. Anyway, his pictures are of his niece, his sister, his horse, and his friend. Carson, Todrick, Cynthia, I think it's Carson, Todrick, and Cynthia are up in the pink room. Carson tells Todrick that he's putting Misha and Todd up, and that if Todrick were to win, he would like him to keep the nominations the same. Shayna reminds them that the 4 are back together. They were the original team when they're back together. They discuss the final 4. Oh, so is it Carson, Todrick, Cynthia, and Shayna are in the pink room? I think so. So they discuss the final 4, and Todrick is apprehensive because he thinks that out of those 4, he'll be the first one out because he flaked on them. He left them for Misha, and so he's like, I'm on the bottom of this final 4. But anyway, he has a final 4 with them. Todrick goes to Misha, and he tells her, and Todrick is discussing, telling them that telling them that Shayna's been playing both sides of the house. and that that she was in the final four with Todrick and Misha, trying to take the spotlight off of Misha so that Misha won't get up. Oh, so he's trying to figure out how can I save Misha because Misha's the target. How can I save Misha? So I'll tell them that Shayna's been playing both sides. So Todrick tells the DR regarding Shayna. He says basically he's like, as though he was talking to Shayna, he's like, "You cute, but I'm about to ruin your game, honey." So Todrick goes to Cynthia to tell her what's up. He tells her that Shayna is the reason that they're going after Carson, and that Shayna and Kirkpatrick were a team. And they were about to go and find Carson and talk to him with them together because Cynthia said that she didn't like doing things secondhand. But then lo and behold, Carson comes into the room anyway. They were talking in, which was the bathroom. Okay. So Todrick tells Carson that Shayna was in the final four with Kirkpatrick, himself, and Misha. And that she was up there with them during the day and going down with Carson and Cynthia at night. And that's why she voted out Teddy, because her allegiance wasn't really secure with them. She was playing them. And Misha suggests backdooring Shayna. Carson says he doesn't doubt Misha's integrity. So he's like, oh, okay, well, I trust Misha. She's telling the truth. She has integrity. And he says, I trust Todrick because I know him outside the house. So Carson just believes them, right? So Misha offers herself for the block and whomever else they think can win the veto. And then she's like, well, we can put me on the block, put somebody else strong on the block. We'll win the veto, get down, and backdoor Shayna. So then Tyler goes to the DR and tells the DR that he thinks Carson and Cynthia would probably rather ride with the devil they know, i.e. him, than the devil they don't, i.e. Shayna. Okay? So Cynthia walks into where Lamar is in the kitchen. And tells him that Shayna has been playing herself and Carson the whole time. And then Todrick tells Lamar that it's crazy. They just shook up the whole house and there's still a chance for them. And Shayna asks to go into the gym to speak with Carson. She tells Carson, I don't know why she had to ask. So maybe she goes in the gym and she asks to speak to Carson. She's like, can I talk or something? I don't remember. But she tells Carson that she went to speak to Cynthia, and Cynthia was upset. Okay, so Shayna went to go talk to Cynthia. Cynthia didn't want to speak to Shayna. She was like, no, I'm only going to speak with Carson present. But Shayna goes and tells Carson that she said that she was only speaking to Carson. That's not what she said. So then Carson tells her that what they're saying that they're saying that she was with them. That she's like, well, they're telling us that you were with them the whole time. And Shayna says, well, yeah, I was with them for safety. But she says, I never threw y'all under the bus. I never threw you or Cynthia under the bus, Carson. And Carson's like, she said that Carson had safety and Cynthia did too. And she was just looking for a way to keep herself safe, but that they were always a team. That it was always them. That she was only hanging with them for fake. Like that wasn't my real, you're my team. And Carson said that he just figured the room that they lived in, the pink room, the residents of the pink room, were always on the same page, which is Carson, Cynthia, Shayna. And I think Mira was in there at one point, or maybe Teddy. I don't remember. But he was like, I always figured we were a team. And we were always on the same page with no secrets between us. So then Carson suggests that they go talk to Cynthia as well, that they pull Cynthia into the conversation. So then Cynthia tells Shayna that they told her that she was the one who said Carson needed to go up. And she said, well, she agreed that Carson was a threat, but she never suggested that they put him up. And she took basically Shayna's doing a very bad job of explaining herself, and she's putting her foot in her mouth. So okay, so she goes to the DR, and she tells the DR that they aren't seeing the obvious game that Todrick is playing, that Todrick and Misha are playing to split them up, to divide them up. And that when Kirkpatrick was the HOH, they all got dismissed, and they basically drew a line in the sand, and he voted out Mariah, and she took Carson Dunn off the block. And why can't they see that she's with them? She's like, why are they believing this obvious lie? Actions speak. And they're talking, right? So it's loud enough for Todrick and Misha to be listening. They hear. So eventually they go and talk to Todrick and Misha all together. So Cynthia's suggestion, and Cynthia suggests that they all go and talk to Todrick and Misha. Cynthia suggests that Shayna, Carson, Cynthia go talk to Todrick and Misha. And Shayna's upset that Chris Kirkpatrick sacrificed his game for them, and they're turning their back on her and believing them. And she says she didn't verbalize it to them. She says that they never had a Final Four deal, and that they believe them to put her on the block. So then it seems that the whole house is in the pink room where Carson went to tell them, when Carson goes to tell them that it was time for the nomination ceremony. So everybody's in the pink room, seems like. And Carson's like, okay, it's time for the nomination ceremony. So the nominee number one is Misha. Nominee number 2 is Todd Bridges. So Carson stuck to the plan, it seems, and is backdooring Shayna. So we'll find out in the next episode what all happens. Carson tells the DR that he isn't a big backdoor fan, and the house wants Shayna out. But in the meantime, Misha is on the block, excuse me, and that she is his personal primary target. And so Shayna tells the DR that she's playing for herself for the rest of the game, that she is not aligning with anybody else at this point because she feels bamboozled and ostracized, and like, why would her team turn on her? Why would they believe them? They're obviously working against you, and they're trying to divide. Like, I don't understand either how Carson and Cynthia didn't see this, but anyway, Shayna is upset, and she's saying she's playing for herself for the rest of the game, and that if she wins the veto, and that she's already won 2 vetoes, so it's possible. And also backtrack, Cynthia told her that she had never been on the block, and I'm like, well, no, Shayna hasn't been on the block because she keeps putting the veto and keeping you guys safe. So Cynthia says she and Carson were keeping Shayna safe. I'm like, how? But anyway, everyone's perception is their reality. And that's that. And that is the end of episode 8. And if you got this far in the video, please like it. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content, and turn notifications so that you'll know whenever I post new videos, which I am trying to keep to a weekly schedule. I am working again, and I am in school again as well. So I'm not only doing things from home anymore. I'm actually out and about again. So I'm trying to manage my time so I can take care of everything. And I enjoy, being busy and trying to fit things. I thrive on it sometimes. but I also need to sleep. So anyway, I love you all. I'm Official Carla Lorraine. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Love you all. Bye.